What's up, guys? It's James here from Smoking UK, where we review, communicate, and educate all things tobacco. Today, we're joined by a very special guest, Steve, the cigar enthusiast, and from the Enthusiast podcast. It's about time we got you on the channel. Let's run the intro and let's get into some cigars.
We interrupt this program to bring you an important announcement.
So first of all, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for
It's
having me.
good to have you on the channel, but more importantly, you're the first person to film an interview in the studio.
I'm christened in the studio, and I'm very happy about that.
It's going to be so bliss.
There is the story behind of why I'm in this studio and not smoking. So basically, I went up to obviously your event, and we were coming up for the event, and I was filming a podcast with Paul, which was a great podcast. If you guys haven't seen it,
We'll leave a link in the description.
So we're getting ready to come to you guys. I think we were going to come like a couple hours early just so we can set up and get the filming done before the event. It was the end of the year event, wasn't it?
It was.
And as we're about to leave, my cameraman and producer Jordan gives me a phone call, and he's like, Steve, forgot the keys in the van. And I was stressed. So I call you and I'm like, James, we're going to be late, mate. I might even miss the event. Luckily, Locksmith comes out, gets it all sorted, and we make it to the event. Just couldn't film the
It's
interview.
lucky we live in the same city.
It is a good job we live 15 minutes away from each other.
Literally 15 minutes away from each other. So it's good. It's fun. This is going to be bliss because normally we're in the gazebo. We're battling the sounds of the winds and the microphones, and the back is flapping around. It's going to be nice to be bliss to actually film an interview indoors.
I know.
So I have got some cigars for us.
Ooh.
And I've never smoked it. And
You
I
have-
guarantee you've never smoked it.
Not even have I not smoked, I can guarantee that, but I don't even know what it is. So
So I've gone for the Gurkha Pure Evil in the Robusto. I thought by the time this goes out, we're going to be roughly approaching, or it'd be October coming up to Halloween. It'd be fitting to have something a little bit evil looking. And it was quite funny because before we sat down and pressed record, you actually said to me, I've never smoked a Gurkha.
I did.
So I know I picked the right cigar.
That does smell incredible, to be fair.
Smells really nice, really. Apparently, it's got a bit of a kick. It smells a lot milder than what I think it's going to be. Either that or they've chose the completely wrong name for this cigar.
I was going to say, when it's pure evil, you gotta
I'm
mess with
expecting to
people
blow
up.
my head off.
Does smell good though. Does smell very good.
So it's a 5x52 ring gauge, medium to full bodied in smoke. We have a Habano wrapper, Nicaraguan fillers, and binders. So I'm expecting a lot of like woody profiles, spice, earth. Now, do you want a V-cut, straight cut? I've gone for a crown cut because
I'll go for the crown.
we're smoking.
I do genuinely go for a crown cut. It's very, very rare that I'll do a straight cut.
I love the crown cut. The straight, I like the straight cut, but the problem I seem to find is, and you get it on all cigars, is you get little bits of tobacco shards in your mouth.
That is one
And on
of my
your
main
tongue,
reasons I don't do
You
it.
take the first puff in that, spitting it out. It's not a good look, but
I find with the crown cut, you can kind of just, once you've cut it, just give it a little wipe down,
yeah,
and you won't get that at all. So
absolutely.
that's why I always go. I do like just a standard V, but the crown cut just gives it that little elegance.
Yeah, I like a V with the smaller ring gauges. If I'm smoking something like a Corona or something like that, I like a V cut, just so I don't end up butchering the foot end and the
Done
cap
that
of the
before,
cigar.
I've been there. I'm really intrigued to taste a Gurkha as well, because I've seen a few rounds.
Great.
I've never dived into it.
They're great cigars, and
Thank you very
for
much.
some reason, especially across like social medias and YouTube, they're the kind of company, they're like a Marmite company. People either love them or they hate them. And I'm still yet to smoke a bad Gurkha. Always amazing construction, great taste. That tastes really nice. I like nutty. It's not as spicy as I thought it was going to be. For an initial light up, I thought it was going to be a lot spicier than that. And the draw is massive. That's really open. There's no resistance on that drawer at all. A little bit of pepper. It's great. They're great all-round cigars. I don't know why they receive so much hate.
Straight away, you get that. I don't want to say intense flavor, but it is.
It definitely coats your palate.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You get whatever it is straight away.
Loads of cedar and loads of oak is on the retrohale as well. Do you retrohale?
I try.
You try?
Now and again I do. But it's when I try to do it that I don't do it, or I mess it up. So
well, it's a shameful plug, but we have a video showing you how to do it. So, can you retrohale, or are you struggling to manipulate the smoking? Because I know a lot of people who've smoked cigars for like 50 years and just can't manipulate that smoke to come up and out through the nose.
So I get a bit of that, a bit of it through the nose, but then I think, I don't know, it just doesn't go right for me.
See, I never take the full amount out the nose because it burns. It burns your nose and burns cheeks. So I always do like 80 out my mouth, then 20 out through my nose.
Yeah, because I get the little bit of burning, but it's not like the.
If it's burning, you do it correctly.
Yeah, all right, okay.
You're supposed to feel it across here, across your cheeks, maybe a little bit in the forehead.
Okay.
So yeah, if you're getting a bit of a burn, you know you're doing it right. The trick is, as you're breathing out for your nose, push your tongue to the lid of your mouth.
That's what I just did that, and I saw the smoke coming out my nose. I was like, oh, I can do it.
You'll do it once, you'll do it so much, you're like.
I think that's my issue. When I have tried to do it in the past, I'll take a much larger hit than I should.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, it's coming through my nose, and my mouth just.
It's funny because when you go out to Nicaragua, they'll take like the entire mouth. They'll just take the whole thing out through the nose, and it's just they're built differently out there. Because I try and do that, and I'm There's only a few. There's been a few cigars on the channel that I've reviewed, and I've took the whole thing out from my nose, and it was so smooth. The Ramon Allones number 3. That was so. I just took the whole thing out from my nose. Didn't burn, nothing. It was really smooth.
I was gonna say that's got a nice like. That's the thing. When I say burn, it's not like an unpleasant sensation or anything like that. It's a very.
Yeah, you just know it's there.
You just know it's there. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. This tastes absolutely. This tastes a lot better than what I thought it was gonna taste like.
Like when I've seen Gurkhas in the past, you look at the band, and the band's really pretty on a lot of them. I don't know. Maybe it's just the name Gurkha, and I'm thinking Gherkins or something, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just something that's not put me off, but not draw me straight to it. But that is
they have
far better than what I was expecting.
Absolutely amazing. I think one of my favorite cigars I reviewed on the channel, and it's funny because it's the cheapest Gurkha. I think we used to retail it. We struggle to get it in because as soon as we do, we sell out in like a week. Is the Gurkha Seduction. Okay. And I think it was about £11.50 for a Robusto.
That's not bad. Yeah.
I would put that in my top 3 cigars I've ever reviewed on this channel. You know, I've smoked cigars that like 60 odd quid and all this price, limited editions, and that one goes in my top 3.
And that's one thing. I mean, with cigars, I find when you cheap out, you might get a bad cigar or something. But there's sometimes like some cigars I've had that are £10 to £15, and they're like some of the nicer smokes I've had.
Oh god,
I've spent 25, 30, £40, and I'm like, it's nice, but I've spent £40.
Yes, yeah. I think some of my favourite cigars are probably under 16 quid. Well, look at the smoking cigars. We haven't had a bad review about that, and that's 14 quid for a Toro.
I mean, so the first time I had I'm pretty sure it was the Toro we had, was on the podcast you came on, and again, I was really, especially with a own branded cigar or anything like that, it's, you might think, oh, it's a bit cheap or whatever, but as soon as you have that, I was just like, that's a really good cigar. And as soon as I left you that day, I was like, straight on Smoke Kings, order a few more. Some for the humidor, just in case.
They're brilliant. We basically wanted a cigar that even if you've smoked cigars for years and you're into the real full bodied, you don't want to wake up first thing in the morning and have a full bodied cigar with a coffee. You still need something lighter. But at the same time, if you've never touched a cigar before in your life, it's perfect. We've got some good stuff coming over the next 12 months, but I can't tell you guys. And they've got some really good stuff coming out soon. We've got, the one thing I can say is we have got a Maduro version of our cigar coming out soon, because Paul Green of smoking, he has a really strong palate.
Yeah.
He goes for the big full bodied stuff, like he loves like the EP Carrillos, he loves Rocky Patel, he loves Gurkha. He wanted to put out the really big strong cigars. And at the beginning, it's like, no, we need to make a cigar for everybody. Not everybody like I don't normally go for Maduro, really. I like light cigars. And it's like, oh, okay, but we are releasing it soon. So yeah, we have got the Maduro coming soon, which is going to be interesting.
I think that, I mean, not having that full-bodied cigar to begin with, it's probably a smart business move. Just because, like you said, you get the crowd in, and then when you get the clients who know, right, they make some good cigars, I want a full cigar.
That's when you start going down the niche. Absolutely. So, can you remember your first cigar?
So my first cigar, I cannot remember. It's not that I can remember it like it was yesterday, but I have no idea what it was. Because the first cigar I ever had was probably a fairly similar story to, I don't know so much our generation, but some generations before, where the first cigar was with a friend who robbed their dad's cigars when they were like 14.
Yeah.
So no idea what it was.
How many guests have said that?
Yeah. So I feel like that's a very typical way to try your first cigar. Didn't smoke another cigar then until I was 18. On my 18th birthday, I went into my local tobacconist and I got a Romeo and Juliet. Again, couldn't tell you which one, unfortunately, but I straight on my 18th. You get that sort of, before you're really into cigars, you got that, cocky, I got a Cuban cigar, I'm gonna sit there, so then the Romeo and Juliet was the first one I had as an adult. And again, I love Romeo and Juliet. That is without a doubt my favorite Cuban cigar. Since then I've kind of gone off the wagon. I do still enjoy a Cuban, but probably in the past year is when I've gone New World, and it's just opened a lot of doors for me.
A lot of people seem to be doing the same thing, and we were noticing a lot of people are coming in and saying, I normally smoke Cuban, but I want to go over to New World. Can you recommend New World stuff? And I think it's because you can do so much more with it.
Yeah.
Where Cuban is always a puro. You'll have a Cuban filler, binder, wrapper, which is great. Cuban tobacco tastes great. But New World is almost like cooking.
Yeah.
It's like a recipe. You can take a bit of anything and put it together. I admire Cuba for sticking to their roots and saying, no, Cubans should be Cuban only.
Yeah.
Like, fair play to them. But yeah, I think a lot of people are getting to the point where Cuban tobacco tastes like Cuban tobacco and they want something new. So a lot of people are having the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
You'll smoke Cuban, then come over to New World.
You can vouch for this more so than I can, but obviously with New Worlds, especially when you make your own blend or anything like that, and you can say, I like that from this one, didn't actually like this leaf in that one, but I'll give it a go with this, and it just makes something completely new, which I think you're never going to get that with a Cuban. So
no, and I'm not slagging Cubans off. I love Cuban cigars, but yeah, I feel like a lot of people are having that same thing. Even like speaking to people like George Frakes of 1573, he was like, I smoke Cuban only. I only like Cuban. Then he found Foundation cigars, and now he just predominantly smokes New Worlds.
Again, Foundation is a good one to get into. To be fair, I think if anything, if I was to recommend a New World cigar to someone who solely smokes Cubans, I'd have to go with a Foundation cigar.
Found it. Highclere Castle. I call the Highclere Castle the Cuban converter.
Okay.
Every person, if I'm up in SK and they say, smoke Cubans, I want New World, that's the one I give them.
Yeah.
I'm like, and if you've got a complaint, you can come and contact me directly, so I can guarantee you're going to enjoy it. And they all do. Yeah. The amount of people who come back in after and go, oh, that's really good. I've tried every other Foundation cigar since.
That's the thing. I said to you before, because when we were talking about what Foundations I've tried and stuff like that, I was like, I haven't tried the new Olmec, but I'm pretty sure I've tried the rest. And then we kind of went through them. I was like, okay, I've tried about 5% of them.
Yeah. It's a shame. Because like even like Gurkha, like we have loads of Gurkha. You've seen our Gurkha stand, loads.
There's a lot of.
But we still have a restricted amount compared to like the US and the rest of the world. It's absolutely insane. It's just because the sheer cost it is to get stuff into the country. Even stuff with like Hiram and Solomon. I think we stuck about 4 different blends, maybe. I think they must have about 18 to 25, maybe 30 different blends in the
I
US.
suppose with the US, obviously it's a much bigger market, mostly because of the size of it, but the fact that they can't have Cubans there, they have no choice. So they're like, we'll have everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Where we we can get Cubans, we can get New Worlds, but again, we're a much smaller population.
Yeah.
So
it's
we're
cheaper for them to get it as well, because if you're in Nicaragua, you go straight in. Where if we want Nicaraguan cigars, it has to go into Miami and then out to us. So we basically pay for 2 lots of shipping.
And then with everything going on here with track and trace and everything, it's only going to get worse.
Exactly. We've got the track and trace, and then you've got all your custom fees and how much it per weight costs you this. Like it's insane. You've just come back from being abroad.
I have.
How much difference are the cigar prices compared to being in a different country to being in the UK?
I couldn't honestly believe it. So I was in Montenegro for my honeymoon, and I went to Barbara cigar shop in Tivat. Great experience. Those guys are amazing. And I was looking at the prices, and I took some photos for my Instagram page, and you just see on the ticket a Toro €6, which is what, like £5 something.
It's about £5.20.
Yeah, £5.20.
But yeah, so you were saying you paid like about £5.20 for a cigar. On each of the cigars over here, there's about £5.20 tax alone.
Yeah, I think the tax over here is obviously stupid, and if you're, say, shipping them in, I haven't personally experienced this, so I don't know. But if you order some from America and they, customs pick it up, they'll weigh not only the cigars but the box as well. So you're essentially paying tax for a box.
Yeah, you're paying tax on tobacco that isn't. I was hit with a few. I'm quite lucky I get my cigars for free now. But I remember sitting down and I was going to film a video getting 5 Robustos for under $20. I thought, I don't care if it tastes awful. That's a funny video. And they wanted something like 320 quid. And I was like, it's 5 cigars.
Yeah.
What? Because again, they were weighing the box because it was going overseas. The guys I used to buy off over there put it in a wooden box to protect it.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
The box weighed as well. I was like, I'll just take I paid like $3 shipping as well. I was like, I'll take the $23 hit. I'm not that fussed.
That's the thing. I mean, the box itself is probably going to weigh more than all 5. Plus more. Like,
so I've got Gurkha boxes behind here. Hands down, one of the most beautiful Gurkha boxes I've ever dropped. Like the weight of that alone, without even having cigars in.
Cigars, yeah.
That's for the 15-year cellar reserve, which we now stock again. It's been tucked behind here for.
You're an expert in plugs. I'll give you that.
It's because I'm cheeky. So you said you had a Romeo or Juliet for your first cigar. Can you remember if you enjoyed it?
I loved it.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, I loved it.
Normally, I find most people have their first cigar and don't like it.
I think even the cigar I had when I was like 14, it was stupidly big for, especially I was a smaller kid as well. It was stupidly big for what it was.
You was inhaling it, probably.
I inhaled a few.
Yeah.
I knew not to inhale, but then you obviously have a cigarette or something when you're a kid.
Yeah.
So I was trying not to inhale, but then automatically inhaling. But even that cigar I loved. For me, I think at that stage, I love the idea of a cigar. You watch, your Godfather or whatever it is. You just love the idea of it.
Yeah.
And then when I was 18, I started smoking the Romeo and Juliet then. And again, it was just not. It was more. I enjoyed the flavor then. I enjoyed just sitting down, relaxing with it, than just.
Yeah.
I look like a gangster.
No, I wanted to look like a gangster.
I still do.
I remember I bought the first cigar that really got me into it was the Davidoff Bellicuso. It's good, it's a fantastic cigar, and I was like, oh, it's not big enough. It's not big enough. So then I was like, I found a Toro, took it home. I was like, yeah, look at me, I must have only smoked about half of it. I was like,
yeah,
I'm not. This was before I even knew what bodiedness and strength of a cigar was, or this color means that, and this wrapper. I didn't know. I was like, that looks cool. I'll have that, and the band looks amazing.
Yeah,
and I nearly fucking passed out.
Like I was given a Romeo and Juliet Cupidos,
Mm.
and that was a stunning cigar. But again, I looked at it and I was like, that's a big cigar. That looks sick. I'm gonna, and then it's just.
Have you seen the? Did you see the April Fools that they had over here?
No.
I think it was a 9x90. So you're looking at about that, but like this. I think it's
a week to smoke.
I think there's only one. I saw one person on Instagram actually filming a review on it. I'll have to try and find it for you. But there's one in
They actually
America.
produced it as well.
Yeah, it's a thing. It was
just an April Fool's. Like
it was in the UK. I think you can still get it from certain retailers, but they only brought over maybe 100, 200. They didn't bring over many.
Yeah,
they flew. Everybody was after him.
I think it's just a not like.
It's finding a humidor to put it in.
Yeah, I was going to say it takes so much space up. That's the issue. You wouldn't be able to smoke anything else.
I'm lucky enough to have this thing, and I think I'd still struggle to fit it on a shelf. It'd take about half a shelf.
Yeah, it would.
There's one in America called the Woody. I swear it's something like 52 by about a 120. It's like I think Cigars Daily reviewed it, and I think it took them nearly 6 hours to get through the whole cigar.
Like I enjoy a long smoke. Like for me, smoking is almost like meditation. So I can sit in the garden, read, go through my phone, whatever it is, listen to some music, listen to a podcast, and just sit there and relax. Hour, 2 hours, fine. 6 hours, I'm gonna be on my knees.
I could smoke for about 4 or 5. Like when I was in the Cigar Awards in December, we were smoking back to back for about 4 or 5 hours.
I think it's different when you're around
4 or 5 different cigars.
Yeah, exactly.
They've got different body. Then some are really light, some are really strong, and you're drinking, and you're in that environment. It's all right, but sitting there and smoking, it's like that.
Yeah, like I enjoy a cigar in solitude sometimes. I enjoy smoking it in my garden, headphones in. The world's gone.
Best meditation.
But especially recently, coming to events and things like that, smoking with people, talking while you're smoking, sharing the enjoyment is just a completely different experience. And now I can really appreciate both.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Don't get me wrong. I love on a daily basis because I'm lucky to smoke cigars in here. And well, I'm almost feel like I am with company because I'm talking to the camera, I'm talking to people at home. But sometimes just sat here at the end of the night, I put like a podcast in, or I'll put YouTube on. Or sometimes I sit in silence. And it's just that meditation of just.
Yeah.
Steve Harvey said it's like yoga.
It is.
Because it's just, you take a breath in.
That's all you're focusing on then. When you're with people and you're talking, it's a social thing. You're enjoying the environment, you're enjoying everything. But when you're on your own, it is that you're taking the smoke in, you're seeing what you can taste, you can see your breath working, and you're just not overthinking, but you're embracing it a lot more.
Yeah, you're taking in that whole. The one thing I've fallen in love with, and I love reviewing cigars. I love sitting there and focusing on every inch of that cigar and noting it down. Okay, this tastes like this. 10 minutes later, it tastes like that. Sometimes it's nice to get a cigar, whip the band off, not think about it, and just enjoy just puffing away.
Yeah, like
being in that moment.
I would enjoy if someone gave me a cigar without the band, without anything. I don't know what it is, so I don't have any expectations. And then just going through that and just seeing what I can pick up on, just to myself, just solely just trying to work it out in my brain, just, enjoying it for what it is.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking, this is a £50 cigar.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes people get fixed up on the price. So if you buy like a £50 cigar, you sit there going, I have to like this. It has to be good. It must be good. I have to because it's worth 50 quid. Where I think if you take the band off, you don't even look at it. You appreciate it that bit more because you're not focused on how much I've spent on it. And we'll do it for video.
Yeah.
We'll do a blind taste.
I think that'd be good. Yeah.
On a video.
I mean, I feel like I'm very different to people where I'm the opposite, where if I got the cigar cheaper, I'm like, I only paid £5 for this cigar.
I'm like that. I'm exactly like that. That's why I love getting a cheeky discount here.
Oh, I bet.
So I remember when we first started talking, you wasn't that much of a frequent smoker.
No, I mean, when I started my Instagram page and everything like that, I was really only just getting into. I enjoyed cigars, but I was only just getting into getting into depth with, you know, what it is, what wrapper it is, what binder it is, everything like that. And when I first met you, I think I was just about starting to consider my YouTube channel. And I'll always hold my hands up. I am not an expert on cigars. I'm an enthusiast, and that's why it's called the Enthusiast Podcast. Because I could sit there and say, "Oh, I can taste this. I'm an expert, whatever." But people are going to see through it straight away.
People do on the internet.
Yeah. I mean, I could probably get away with it with some people, but I'm at the same time, I want to just come across as a genuine person who's enjoying the cigar for what it is. I'm not there to say, you should try this cigar, you should try this. That's why I don't do reviews.
Yeah.
I'll sit down with a cigar and be like, I'm really enjoying this. You might hear it, I don't know, but I'm enjoying this one.
You almost diarying, if that's a word.
That's why I started the Instagram page, because a lot of people collect the bands and write about it in a diary. Yeah. I can't read my own handwriting half the time, so I was like, I'll start an Instagram page.
And how have you finding it, or how have you found it creating content in the cigar world? Was it easier than you thought, harder than you thought? It's so nice to have another creator.
I mean, to be honest, I love it because the community in the cigar world is that's the one thing that I was taken aback by, because the people in the cigar community are so supportive, so friendly, so giving, so just everything. It's just a brotherhood, sisterhood, everything in one. And I've always wanted to sort of create content. I used to do silly videos when I was a kid, doing gaming videos or something. So I've always enjoyed creating content, but going from not doing anything for a long time. So I did my first cigar therapy, I don't know how many months ago now, but that was solely to just get used to talking in front of a camera again. So I thought I'll just drive up into the mountains in a van, have a cigar, and almost do a solo podcast where I'm just talking about whatever pops into my head. I don't prep anything. I just kind of go up, have a coffee, have a whatever drink with it, and I'll just talk. And then if people comment on the video, then I might bring it up in the next one. But in my head at that time, I've wanted to do a podcast for years, and it was just, I'll do it when I get to this stage. I'll do it when I buy this camera, or whatever it was. And I just kind of got to the stage, and my cameraman, luckily, I'm very fortunate to have him, Jordan. He was just kind of like, let's just do it. I've got a camera, you've got an iPhone, let's just do it.
Yep.
Whatever, if it's terrible, we won't post it. And I was like, Sam, let's do it.
That's the biggest thing I say to people. Like, meeting people at events, and the amount of people say, "Oh, I'd love to get into content. I don't know how to do it. I just do it.
Yeah,
just start it." Because I can guarantee, because I've been creating content now for over 7 years, not in cigars, but like in other aspects as well. And you'll always go back and look at your original content and hate it anyway.
Yeah.
So just post it.
Yeah.
Get it out there. Get the algorithms working in your favor. Now YouTube is fine. Now we've hit the 1.5k subscriber count. The YouTube algorithm is really pushing our content.
It's going to work for you,
we're now finally seeing that reward, but you've just got to post it.
Yeah.
Because I look back at on our old smoking content, I'm like, oh, the camera's awful. Oh, the lighting's terrible. Like, the lighting's beautiful now.
Yeah.
And I watch our old stuff. I was like, that's really dark. I should have edited it this way. I should have edited that way. Why is the music so loud? So you're always going to hate it. Just post it.
I mean, that's with our content, it's very sort of underproduction. Like,
it's brilliant.
We use the camper van and the scenery to our advantage, because especially I'm very fortunate that we've got the camper van. I had it anyway. This one my wife went away in, and I just kind of use it for work. And I was like, I've got nowhere to record. I was like, I use the camper van. Okay. And originally I wanted it to be, we're sat face to face, and then have a camera pointing in. To realise I'm a very big man in a very small van, it's not going to work. So we sort of played around with a few ideas. So we had the two cameras, because the front seats turn around, as you've experienced, to be fair. It's a nightmare putting it in there. You've seen that. So we went for that, and then Jordan walks around getting a third angle, which for me, that's a game changer. That is, some of the angles he gets from outside the van is amazing. But then obviously we're coming into winter. That's going to be a challenge to face, but
that's his problem. You're in the van.
I'm getting
sorry, Jordan.
I'm getting
So I think we're quite lucky to live where we live, that we've got so much natural beauty as well. I remember when I was filming with you on that episode, and we just pulled up on like the side of this, like almost like cliffside, wasn't it? Surrounded by wind turbine and a wind farm, you could, as far as the eye could see, all you could see was green. There
Yeah.
wasn't no buildings, no roads. You just opened up all the doors. It was awesome. But I think the thing I love about your podcast so much is it's because it's so stripped back. It's like how YouTube used to be.
That was kind of what we wanted to go for, yeah. Because
I love that.
Jordan, to be fair, he's like OCD with YouTube. He loves. He watches everything. He'll show me something. He'll be like, right, we'll do it like, you know, something like this or something like that. I don't know what you're talking about, Jordan. I watch podcasts and that's about it.
Yeah.
I'm very. I like what I like. I don't dive in deep, and that's why I'm so fortunate to have Jordan, because he might come up with a load of ideas that I don't necessarily like, but it's making my brain work in the sense of, okay, I don't like that, but I like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
So it adds so much just knowledge to what we're doing as well. So I'm very fortunate to have him.
It's a good team. He gets some great angles. I think some of my favourite parts of the podcast is like the free hand that he's got.
Yeah.
And he's like stood to the side, or he's come round the door over my shoulder and he's shooting. He gets some really good angles. The guy's really got his head straight.
Yeah.
But because he doesn't use like a gimbal, you still get that natural handshake. It almost feels like, you know, when you watch a movie and then you go and watch the behind the scenes section.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just someone following them around with a camera. It's almost like that aspect. And I think it makes it feel like you're sat in the room.
That, yeah, you're a fly on the wall.
You literally look like you're a fly on the wall. You would almost say, "Oh, I was in the back." Because you still got amazing audio, but it's then
that is one thing.
That natural camera work is brilliant.
I've got 3 jobs in the podcast. Jordan does a lot for it. My 3 jobs are get the guests, talk, make sure the mics work. I think I've been successful.
And how many times have you? I was going to say how many times have you met? That's the crown of being a content. That's when you know you're officially a content creator, is when you put all the time and effort into doing something and you've messed up. Do you know how many reviews I've filmed and I haven't turned my mic on? Or I haven't pressed record. I smoked a 40 quid stick. Did not even press record.
Yeah. I think, to be fair, that was your one bit of advice for me. Because when I was doing the cigar therapy, I was recording it in cuts. I would talk for, I don't know, 20 minutes or whatever, turn the camera off, have a little break, sort of move around. And I went to sit back down, talk for like another half hour, 40 minutes, whatever it was, because it was a big cigar. And then I was like, right, I'll have another break. I wasn't recording. So there's a little clip of, I think it was my first video, actually. There's a little clip of me sat outside the van, just like, for fuck's sake.
The thing is, you got to leave those bits in. I leave our bloopers in.
Yeah.
The Crazy Alice that dropped last week at the point of filming this, I dropped the whole cigar down me. And because obviously normally we got the coffee table in front of us. The coffee table is normally where I'm sat. It bounced off me, hit my leg, hit the coffee table, then fell down through the middle.
Yeah.
Picked it up, not a single crack, just carried on smoking it. I was like, I've got to leave that in because that's the best branding for that cigar.
This is indestructible.
Yeah, literally indestructible. So you got to leave the bloopers in.
Yeah,
you have to, and you'll always mess up.
What I love about making content as well is, and it's the fact that probably no one will ever pick up on, but it's the little Easter eggs we have in just for Man and Jordan's sense of humor. And I love, like, I don't necessarily particularly like watching back my videos, but when we do or we're editing, and we're just sat there cracking up because we're just like, that is hilarious. If no one picks up on that is hilarious. And it's just those little insider jokes. And I love that sort of stuff. And I have made a lot of content that I'm like, do I like it? What are people going to think? But at the same time, I'm like, as long as I enjoy doing it, I don't care anymore.
Yeah, create the content. The best advice I think I've given it to you, and the advice I give to everybody else creating content is don't put it out there to gain something from it. Because if you do gain something from it, that's a bonus. That's awesome. Do it because you want to do it. If you get into that headspace where you're doing it because you have to, your content's going to plummet. Your heart's not in it. And like you said earlier, people will see straight through you.
Yeah.
People say, oh, this is forced. He doesn't want to. He's reading off a script.
Yeah.
So always make sure you're doing the content because you want to, and not because you want to grow your YouTube channel and get monetized and get paid, and just do it because you want to and you love it.
Yeah, it's like to be fair, I'll have another episode out when this goes out, but for my, technically, at this time, most recent episode was with Benji Webb, who is Skin Dread's lead singer. And when I told people, oh God, I've got Skin Dread on, they were like, oh my God, that's going to be amazing for your channel, that's going to be huge. And in my head, I was like, It might be, it might not. It depends on the YouTube algorithm at the end of the day. But for me, I was like, I am meeting an idol of mine. Like, in my sort of 5-year plan, he was sort of, by 5 years, I would love to have him on. And it was my 4th episode. And I was like, this
Bonus.
is nuts.
That's, I couldn't believe it. I remember you messaging me saying, guess what? Guess who I'm meeting this week? And when you said it, I didn't actually believe you. Like, I know he's a Welshie as well, which helps. And I was just like, nah. Because he's only technically around the corner to us, isn't
he? Yeah, about an hour away.
And I thought, nah, he hasn't. Nah, he hasn't. And I still didn't really believe you until you sent me the clip. I was like, oh shit, man, he was actually in your van.
Yeah.
But I think you've done hurdles for the short amount of time you've been. How long have you been doing content now?
4 months.
About 4 months.
Yeah, about that.
And some of the guests you've had, you've had Benji from Asteroid Boys, which again I couldn't believe because
for a first episode, like to be fair, that was
meant for your first episode as well.
Yeah, that was kind of nuts. To be fair, because obviously he's into cigars, so he was actually one of my first followers on my cigar page. And I was like, I got a bit of an audience going. Got a couple hundred followers or whatever on Instagram. I was like, even if 10 people watch it, happy days.
Yeah.
So I just messaged. I didn't even know who it was. It was just Welsh Cigar Culture on Instagram, and he was one of my first followers.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, cool. Another guy he was the first person in Wales I knew who smoked a cigar from Instagram. So I was like, yeah, do you want to do a podcast with me at some point? He was like, yeah, cool. And on his profile, I had another profile. I was like, oh, I'll click on it. I was like, Benji Wild.
I know that.
Wild, yeah. I was like, oh, he's got a Spotify. Okay, cool. Clicked on his Spotify. One of his songs, because he does solo music now, was with a person from Four Owls, who is another group I really liked, BVA. And I was like, that's wild. He's got, and then I was like, Benji Wild, Asteroid.
I couldn't believe it when you told me like that. They were like my band when I was a teenager. When I was like 16, 17, I was at the skate parks. We used to have a Bluetooth speaker. It was always Asteroid Boys. And I've seen them live like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
So when you said to me, you was like, oh, look, he's going to be my first episode. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. Because I think recording wise, I think I filmed with him the one day and I filmed with you the next day. Because we planned on bulking as many episodes as we could, so we could just release, one every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. That didn't go to plan.
It never does.
So we, if we have the opportunity to record a few in a row, we'll do it. But at the moment, we're just kind of trucking along as we can. But we've got some really good guests lined up. But when I had Benji Wild on, I was like, I started to believe in myself. I was like, I can make something out of this.
Yeah.
And then I had yourself on, and again, through meeting you, I was like, oh, this guy's on Instagram, smokes cigars, cool. He's got a Spotify. I'll listen to that. And I heard you say Swansea. I was like, Swansea? What? Someone smokes cigars in Swansea?
The cigar culture isn't exactly massive in Wales, is it?
No, I mean, our closest tobacconist would be about an hour away, maybe more.
Yeah, we drove there not long ago, did we? It's about an hour and 10, isn't it, in Newport?
So,
well, no, you got Cardiff as well.
Oh yeah, you do have one in Cardiff, yeah. So
even then, that's an hour, 45.
It's probably about an hour, yeah, with traffic as well. But yeah, no. So as soon as I met you, I was like, we went for a beer, we started talking, and all of a sudden, someone I was talking to online has become one of my closest friends as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's again from going from just smoking cigars and uploading to Instagram, from the opportunities and the people I've gained from that is just, even if nothing ever comes from it, I've gained so much from my life.
It's only going to get bigger as well, because the more content you put out, the more people will see it. Because obviously, I always share it and all that kind of stuff. The more people will want to get on the show, but then the more events you get invited to, and it's like a snowball effect. Because I was like that. I remember watching on YouTube people like Anthony, who now works at Davidoff. He's the one who grew Cigars, his YouTube channel, and I was like, oh, this guy's like an idol of mine. And there's Hackins from Davidoff for London and like Kirby Addison stuff. I was like, oh, it'd be amazing to meet these guys. And then I met them. I was like, oh my god, that's amazing. But then since then, I've met like David Hay, Ray Winston. It will snowball.
I mean, to be fair, I kind of had that. And when I was meeting Benji Webb, I was like, oh, I'm nervous. I'm genuinely nervous. And then I was talking to him. I was like, if I can talk to him, I can talk to anyone, because he is an idol for years. So I was like, now I'm at that stage now where it doesn't matter who the guest is. I'm going to be myself. I'm going to talk how I am.
I always say and I say this to a lot of people when people say, "Oh, I'm meeting this person," or "I'm a bit nervous." If you can comfortably talk to a camera like somebody else is there, you can talk to anybody. That's the biggest hurdle.
Yeah.
If you can talk to a camera and it sound natural, then you can literally talk to anybody.
That's the exact reason I started the cigar therapy, because I was like, if I can talk to a camera on my own with no points, like I didn't write anything down to talk about. If I can talk to the camera, and my first one was 2 hours long and I edited it down, but I was like, I can talk to myself about nothing for 2 hours. I can talk to someone about something for an hour.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. Now that's again another big hurdle people get with content is feeling awkward talking by yourself.
Yeah.
Like it like now we both do it. It's natural. Like, I don't even notice the camera's there, and you're probably at the stage now as well. It's amazing how people get awkward just talking to themselves.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm doing something like this, I forget the camera's there because I'm just talking to you in general. When I'm talking just to the camera, so sometimes you can get a bit. You're looking at the camera lens, and you're like, "Oh, I'll look past it," and you can kind of see that on a video. But yeah, like you said, you just kind of forget about it, and you're just talking. Right, I'm just going to look straight, talk.
Yeah,
and you just the one thing that's weird, especially being on the van, because I don't have a studio, is people walking past and being like, "What the hell is this guy doing?"
what's this guy probably thinking he's mental. He's talking to himself.
He's smoking a cigar in the back of a camper van, talking to himself. What is this guy
Wait
doing?
until you start filming in public.
Yeah.
That is a whole new level of nerves. Like, I used to hate doing it.
Yeah.
Now when I go to London, I've got my phone in my hand. I'm like, "What's up, guys? We're here." Like, it's just completely normal. The amount of people you're looking like backgrounds of videos going, bloody hell's he talking?
Yeah.
Weirdo, like walking through the centre of Swansea, trying to not have me phone snatched out my hand, and just talking. Everyone's like, "What?" That once you can conquer one, talking to the camera, and then talking to the camera in public.
Yeah, so
You can make any content you want.
So
literally.
Jordan sort of wants to do a few videos in public, and he's got a few ideas for me. And he was telling me the story about, I'm sure he won't want me to tell him, but he did photography in university and all that as well. But he had these photos where he was dragging like a grandfather clock through the city. So he's literally set up his tripod in the middle of a street, just dragging this massive grandfather clock just for a photo. And again, he was very nervous about, people are going to think, what's he doing? Like, what freak? But then he was saying, just, I'm never going to see these people again. They're going to forget about it when they go home.
Absolutely.
So it's like, yeah.
That's probably the best thing you can ever think is these people can think I'm mental. They're never going to see me again.
Yeah.
Ever. So have you come across any major hurdles creating content, whether it's personal and building confidence, or
Confidence was always kind of there. Like I can waffle on through the day.
There's a reason I picked up a Buster. Be here for hours.
Let's crack over the others. No, I mean I can waffle on anyway. My main thing was content ideas. I'm very comfortable in what I do, so I could do a podcast, crack them out like nothing. But then as soon as it comes to making another form of video, then I'm a bit like, oh, what am I doing? I don't want to copy other people's ideas, because you could be like, oh, do something like this, and then I could do that exact thing. I can just clone it, and that's not what I want to do. So it's taking ideas but making it my own and just making it original.
That's a hurdle in itself.
It is a hurdle
because this sheer amount of content that's already out there, trying to find an original idea, is so difficult.
Yeah, and like you could take aspects of things and do, I suppose, like with vlogs and things like that, it's so overdone. But at the same time, it's good content, especially for what we do. So you just want to make, like, the van again is a massive thing for me because no one else does it. No one else.
No one does. No one I've seen does that now.
So to be fair, I've had someone message me and they were like, "Oh, I've been watching your videos. I kind of want to do the same thing with a van. Can we talk?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, for me, I'm not going to be like, "No, it's my thing."
Yeah, don't gatekeep.
Yeah, I'm just happy that someone's looked at my content and been like, "That's cool. I want to do something like that." And like for me, that's a victory.
It's the biggest reward. It's absolutely amazing, and I had a few people like that, and I won't name and shame them, but I've said, "Oh, I like this style. How you've done this. How did you get that effect? Or what camera did you film with?" It's like, don't copy my ideas. Go find your own original. You will find people that gatekeep. The best thing you can ever do is just pass on that information.
Yeah.
Literally passing that torch. I love it when people message and say, "I love how you've done that. You've inspired me to go and create my own channel." That is like the biggest reward ever.
I think one of the when I was like a younger teenager, I wanted to get into photography, and I remember this. It was kind of like a famous photographer in my area. He was like a local celebrity, I suppose. And I messaged him, and I was like, "Oh, what lens are you using for this?" And his response was, "It's not the lens you use; it's the photographer." And just kind of just brushed me off. And I was like,
"Sometimes it is the lens."
Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, my iPhone lens ain't going to take them photos, mate." But he just kind of brushed me off, and it can really knock my confidence. So I never want to do that to someone else.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to get a nice portrait with a nice blurry background, it matters. Like sometimes it is the lens. Yeah, you have got to have that creative eye. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to be creative. But sometimes it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is. Or if people are like, "Oh, how do you get the confidence to talk to a camera?" And it's just nice passing on that information. So that's when I knew I'd made it. And like I could die tomorrow and I'm happy. The fact that I have people message me now saying, "Oh, you inspired me to create my own content." And there's people out there whose content's probably doing better than mine. And it's because they approached me and went, "Oh, what equipment do I need? What do I need to talk about? What's missing from the industry?" And I tell them, and their content's doing better than me. And I love that.
Yeah. I mean,
I love
we've
seeing
spoken
people
about it
succeed.
before, where like, especially with your friends and things like that, you see them succeeding, and maybe they overtake you on your followers or your views or whatever. But then for me, I'm just like, yes, you go.
I'd love that. I'd love the day if you overtake like my follow account. I'll be like, "Go on, man! I'll pull out one of the nice cigars."
We'll have the official James Drew on
And
that
I'm
day.
so tight about about cigars. I'm like, right, we're gonna sit down and smoke the Hoya James Drew.
I'm getting to 18,000 tomorrow.
So how much does it cost to buy 18?
How many bottle counts do I need? But yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing. For me, it's just that it's not whether I make it as a YouTuber or I get money, I get paid. That'd be great, happy days. But for me, the opportunities I've already had, and I will be 5 episodes deep in a podcast, and I've got a few different videos. So for me, the opportunities I've already had, but I've met you, I've met 2 Benjis. I got to talk to Paul Green from Smoking. So that was amazing for me.
He loved filming that episode.
The fact that you told me, he was like, "Oh yeah, Paul wants to come on." I was like,
"Yeah, he doesn't want to come on this one." His channel.
You have the gift of the gab.
I don't know. Since then, he spoke to me. He's like, "That's really fun, isn't it?" It's like, "Well, yeah, that's why you pay me." I think I'd come on the smoking one now. I was like, "Oh, yeah, it's okay. You didn't want to be the smoking one first?"
Yeah, the invite's gone.
But he loved it. He said he could have sat there with you for another couple of hours.
Yeah,
It's one of those. Just gone and got another cigar.
I was good because obviously from the van being locked out, we were running late. We lost a lot of time, and I know Mrs. Green was waiting for him. So I kind of had to cut it off. It got to the point I was like, "Yeah, she's gonna kill me."
Yeah, there'll be other. We'll definitely get you up again. But I think the funniest thing about that episode is the clips that are on you, and you can see us packing down in the background.
Yeah,
and there is a certain point where me and John are dancing, and I think John has a drill, and he's pretending to be a robot like this, requesting the drill. And I watched it. I was like, "Oh my god, he got it! Like that's in the background of that video."
Well, yeah, because I mean, I was gonna park slightly further away because obviously the noise and stuff like that. But I like that.
It added character.
Yeah, it adds a lot of character, and you get a bit of life to the video. Because when we're parked on the side of a road or something, even if it's a busy road, yeah, I could edit out the car going past, but I like the noise of the car going past, and maybe not everyone likes that and they find it distracting. But for me, I personally like that. It's not an overproduced show.
And that's the beauty of finding your own style, because I'm like that. Like the fact that we've got the air purifier on is the first thing I edit out.
Yeah,
That's got I literally just want vocals and then I add music. Whereas you're literally the complete opposite. You'd rather have all that background noise, and you like that. And that's the beauty of being a creative, is literally once you find your style.
Yeah.
That's when it becomes the most rewarding.
As long as my mic quality is good and the background noise isn't over the top, and it's just a little bit like, because we don't have music or anything like that, it is just us talking. Just having a bird chirping or whatever it is, just in the background, I think, just gives it that little bit of life. Especially being in a camper van, you've got that nature around you.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, I'm fine with. Like we'll take it. You know, if say there's drilling in the background and it's deafening and you can barely hear the guest talking, we'll edit it out a little bit.
Yeah.
But we'll just leave that little tinge in.
Yeah, you've got to. I think that's what I love the most about the content is it's so strict. It's the fact that we make two completely different types of content based around the same subject.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I think that's why me and you bounce really good ideas off each other.
yeah.
How many
yeah.
ideas do we message each other and go, this could be a cool
Yeah,
video.
I think I message you every day like, hey James, this video might be
Have
really
you thought
cool.
about this? Have you thought about this? Like, I've already thought about 3 or 4 different ideas we could do together
Yeah.
on this channel already. And that's the beauty of it is we literally create two completely different subjects. Sorry, 2 different types of content, all based on the same subject.
Yeah, like that is the thing. Like my podcast isn't necessarily purely cigars. Majority of my guests have been cigar related because I'm in the cigar industry. Well, I'm not in the cigar industry, but I'm around the cigar community yet. So I've got a lot of enthusiasm around cigars. I know people in the cigar industry now, so those people are great. But then, like with Benji Webb from Skindred, didn't have anything to do with cigars, but even creating a podcast with cigars in, great. And if I have a guest that doesn't know anything about cigars, but they're like, hey, I'll try a cigar, I'm like, cool, let's crack one out. Because for me, if you don't want to smoke a cigar, I'm not going to smoke a cigar around you, especially in a camper van where you're just going to be like,
yeah, you can't escape the smoke. It's kind of like sitting here. Like I keep getting lost in a mist because the purifier's behind me. Your smoke's coming. My smoke's coming.
I will be the only face on this video.
Yeah.
But no,
that's good.
Yeah, so for me, if a guest wants to smoke a cigar and then, you know, they know nothing, that's so good for me because I can show my passion to them. Because for me, the guest they're the enthusiast one teaching. I can't learn from people who aren't enthusiastic. If you're enthusiastic, doesn't matter what the subject is, you're natural, like, oh, this is this, that. I'm just like, oh my God, he loves this. I want to learn from you.
Yeah.
So that is what my podcast is essentially all about. It just so happens I like a lot of people in the cigar industry.
It's finding that people with passion, and I'm the same. I get drawn. I don't know about you, to people who have passion. I love finding people who have a passion for something I know nothing about.
Yeah,
absolutely. Like someone might love surfing. I know we live right by the beach, but just hearing that person's love about that subject,
yeah,
I get off on it. I'm like,
100%.
Tell me more.
Yeah, I like that's my issue with schooling systems now. When I was in school, I had one science teacher. He was the best. I know no science. I'm an idiot, but I learned so much from him because he was so enthusiastic about what he was teaching. He wanted me to take triple science because because I was so invested in what he was telling me. Didn't in the end. My next science teacher was dull, so dull.
Yeah,
not stupid, smart woman, but just
this
dull
is the
and lifeless.
curriculum. This is what I'm going to teach you.
I never touch science again. I like reading astrophysics now, but that is solely from that first teacher, his enthusiasm, and what he taught me. And it's a subject I had no interest about, but he was just so enthusiastic about it that I was like, I'm going to learn from you.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say because there's so many people who I'm friends with now who are regular cigar smokers who'd never even thought about smoking a cigar, but because they sat down with me and I've had a cigar in like a beer garden or something, and they heard the passion I talk about with cigars, they now smoke cigars.
Yeah, it's like with my a few of my friends from back home. Obviously, it's one of those. I don't tend to talk about my content to people I know, but my really close friends from back home, they are so supportive, and they see me talking, and they're like, "I want to smoke a cigar with you."
Yeah,
and I'm like, "I'll give you a cigar, not the good stuff, but I'll give you a cigar.
I'll give you a good one, so it doesn't like so you at least enjoy it.
I ain't gonna buy you no Cuban then."
No. I don't know. I've given you a Cuban.
You have, to be fair.
That was I can't.
You gave me 2 Cubans.
I've given you 3. I gave you that Romeo GS from 89.
Yeah, because you gave me the number 2 as well.
You're lucky you got married.
I know.
That's the only reason I gave that away. I think I've only got 3 left. So
that's 3 more marriages. No, but to be fair, that third one you gave me, the punch. Again,
the punch.
That was phenomenal. And again, we were just sat at a beer garden. I smoked my cigar, you smoked your cigar, and you were like, "I fancy another one." I didn't have another one. You were like, "Here's a punch." I'm like, That's a Cuban, brother.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I will never. If I've got a cigar on me, it's crazy. I say I'm tight. I give away so many cigars. I've probably given away thousands of pounds worth of cigars.
I've made a chunk of
that. Because I love seeing. I'd rather see somebody else enjoy it because I know I'm going to enjoy it. I have a rule that there are no bad cigars. There's just better ones.
Yeah.
So I know I'm going to enjoy it either way. And the punch short punch I've had so many times. But I preferred seeing you smoke it and enjoy it than me going, oh, I could have had it. Or I'm going to smoke another cigar and I'm going to make you sit there and not have one knowing I've got one here. And I find that a lot with the cigar community.
Yeah,
We're always swapping. I've got this one. Oh, I'll give you this one. And
that's the thing. Like we've spoken about this sort of off air before, but I feel terrible accepting items from people. I feel dreadful. But the cigar community is just like, I don't care. Have it.
Have it. Yeah. I think it's because we all have this share, like going back to the whole passion and love for something. We all share this one passion for a very rare product. Because how many products realistically these days are made solely by hand? 99% of them, because you do get machine rolled cigars.
We don't smoke that.
That are put in the ground by hand, picked by hand. They're stored and fermented all by using, like, an average cigar touches 300 to 400 pair of hands for us to sit here in front of a camera.
No.
Not many other products. Yeah, you've got like your teas and your coffees, your whiskies and your other spirits. But I think because we all share that one passion for something that everybody else hates.
Yeah.
And we have the government coming down on us. They're trying to bring in new laws about smoking. And even in Wales, the smoking law in Wales is worse than England.
Yeah.
We can't even smoke indoors.
Yeah.
It's why we don't have any cigar lounges. But the fact that we all have this such a love for something that everybody else, one, maybe doesn't understand yet or is trying to get rid of, I think that pulls us all together that little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like from some group chats we're both in, you just have such a brotherhood about, we'll just tell each other, oh yeah, I'm smoking this today, and everyone's like, that's a really nice cigar, and we're sharing information about different things. But from that alone, we've had people who are like, I'm having a bad day, I've got your back, brother.
Yeah.
I would just get such a brotherhood from it.
I would say about 99% of my friends now are from cigars in the cigar community.
Yeah.
We're really close friends. You could call me at 2 o'clock in the morning and I need you, and I'd be there. And it's crazy that we now have that brotherhood over a load of rolled up dead leaves.
Yeah.
When you think about it,
yeah,
it's insane. And I think that's what I think that's what keeps a lot of people in cigars. It's very rare I've seen people, they're almost like tattoos. You don't just get one.
Yeah.
It's very rare I've seen people just smoke a cigar and go, okay.
Yeah.
Because it just draws you in.
Yeah, I think if you smoke a cigar on your own or with people who are just smoking at a wedding, you might just be like, oh, I'll try it, and maybe never pick it up again. But when you're smoking a cigar with someone who is a genuine enthusiast, you're like, I love this life.
It's completely. I remember smoking my first cigar by myself, and I was a bit like, it was an awful cigar, and I won't mention names. People who know, and it was just awful. It was terrible. But then when I smoked the Davidoff, I was with one of my best mates, and he'd never smoked a cigar before either, but he still had this real passion. He did loads of we both researched this cigar together, trying to find the perfect one, and it's a complete game changer.
Yeah,
when you smoke a cigar with someone that has that passion, that enthusiasm.
Definitely. So
how are you finding your first Gurkha?
I can tell you, it won't be my last.
Good.
Very nice cigar.
Good, because they do produce some amazing cigars. And the one thing I love about Gurkha is they leave no stone unturned. Yeah, they taste amazing, but they look phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to Gurkhas, that's probably one of the most plain bands.
Yeah.
No, they have some really extravagant
when I was
looking stuff.
Up SK with you when we were doing the event and I was filming with Paul, I had a tour around the humidors, and the Gurkha section is stunning.
It's colourful.
Yeah.
So colourful, because no Gurkha label looks the same. I think certain brands, they go for the same themes. Like if you look at the EP Carrillos, yeah, they've all got different colours, but it's the same rough.
Same sort of shape of the band or yeah.
But then you look at Gurkha and it's like, oh no, this band is going to take up the whole stick, and then this one's just going to be like this big, and this one's going to be a luminous pink.
Yeah, whoever is designing their bands has got ADHD or something like.
Oh, big time, big time. I can imagine what their mood board looks like. I want this one to look, I want this one to look, I want this one to look. But then even like we just saw the box, even down to the box, they don't have boring boxes.
No.
Some of the best Gurkha boxes, and I think I've got 3 put aside to me at SK, and I'm like, don't bin those. I am bringing them down here to put them on the back of their kind of thing. They're absolutely amazing, and I don't understand why people seem to have a love-hate for them. It's mainly Americans.
Okay.
I've noticed a lot of American content creators will hate on Gurkha.
Okay.
And I don't get it, because these tastes. This is lovely.
Yeah,
it's not as strong as I thought it was going to be with the name.
Fault the cigar though. Like, it's burnt fantastically, tastes phenomenal, build quality was really good. So as far as a cigar, I have no faults on it. Again, if you're just a general consumer, you might look at the band and be like, it doesn't catch your eye. That is the only fault I could have of the cigar. Is just I might walk past that band and not think about it.
I think especially when you compare it to other Gurkhas that are really, like we just looked at the Royal Challenge, how extravagant that band is, and it's all metallic and it's gorgeous. The Pure Evil is, but I think because it's such a great cigar, it doesn't have to be flamboyant.
Yeah.
I think once you know of it, but I get what you mean. Your eyes might scan past it.
Yeah, if you've never smoked a Gurkha before and you saw that, and so we compared it to the Gurkha we saw earlier, and the back, you would instantly go, that looks amazing. I'll have that.
Yeah, even down to like their tubes. So that's from the set of 12 is absolutely, their presentation is second to none. It's flawless.
That's when I came, because the only other time I'd seen a Gurkha, I was in a tobacconist, I can't remember, and they had a sampler of, it was just a bag of like maybe 10. And I saw them, and I think it was maybe £100 for 10 of them, and I was like, I would like to try them, but it's only £10 a cigar at that point. But at the same time, I don't have £800 on me. And then when I came in to the Humidor SK, I was like, whoa, these are stunning.
They are absolutely stunning. The beauties that they drop, that's another box. I've told Claire, don't get rid of, I'm keeping that box. And the Year of the Dragon they dropped this year, that came in like a frosted glass tube, is flawless. It's one of those cigars that I talk about on the channel a lot. I get smoker's regret.
Yeah.
If the cigar looks too good, luckily I'm paid to smoke them. Otherwise, if I just bought that, I wouldn't. So we've got a review coming out this week at the point of filming. It would already be out by now. And the Freud Cigar Company Super Ego is hands down one of the best looking cigars I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Oh god, I felt so bad taking that footband off and setting the thing on. But the fact I was like, going, I'm going to set fire to this. Oh no, it looks too good. And I think again that's what I love about New World cigars, is they're so flamboyant.
Yeah.
You can always tell a Cuban cigar because they're
very uniform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. And I feel like the Cuban brands, once they've got their iconic look, like a Partagas, you'll always tell a Partagas from the red band.
Yeah.
You'll always tell a Monte Cristo from the brown band, and they still look amazing. They look like what a Cuban cigar should look like. But then you walk into the New World Humidor, and it's so colourful.
Yeah.
There's every colour under the sun, somewhere other than a luminous pink. So I'm adamant to design a cigar and just put a luminous pink band on it. That's ridiculously obnoxious.
It would stand out.
Exactly, it would. No, I'm glad. I'm glad. You know, we kind of had a pick of the litter, and I was kind of stood there and I was picking the cigars for this month. And I was like, right, we got. I'm gonna sit down with Steve. Let's try and pick him one. I didn't know if you'd smoked a Gurkha before, and I just thought if you have, it wouldn't have been this one.
No,
because normally people go to Gurkha, they see the Cellar Reserves, which look really nice, or they'll see the Ghost. And we sell so many Gurkhas, it's insane because they're so flamboyant. And then there's just this tucked away in the corner, kind of in its own little realm. I thought, well, if he has smoked a Gurkha, he definitely hasn't smoked this one. And it just so happens that I haven't either.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a cigar I would 100% get again.
It's paired gorgeous with coffee.
But the only issue now is I'm going to have to explore every other Gurkha.
There's nothing wrong with that.
But that means I'm going to have to wait to smoke this one again now and smoke all the others.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll get you back on the channel. What we'll do is
we'll do a Gurkha a week.
I'll set a reminder, and a year from today we'll sit down and smoke it again.
I can live with that.
Once you've explored Gurkha a few more times, we'll sit down and we'll smoke the pure evil again.
Yeah, 100%. And like you were saying about the presentation, not everyone's fortunate enough to be able to buy a box, but the boxes are almost better than the band for me.
Yeah.
I've only just bought my first box, and it was only because I was in Europe and it was dirt cheap. But no, I'm buying my first house. I'm going to build myself a man cave in the garden, and I am just going to display as many boxes as I can get my hand on.
Oh god, yeah, keep it. How many boxes have I got lying around this room? We've got like 2 over there, about 6 behind us. I've actually got some.
Don't count because you might be missing some when I go.
So I'll tell you what, a question to put you on the spot, because I always get a different answer from everyone.
Oh god, here we go.
If you could only smoke 3 cigars for the rest of your life, I normally say 1, but I'll give you 3.
Okay.
From all the ones you've had, what would they be? Your 3 desert island cigars.
Okay.
And I always get
One's
this.
going to be a foundation. I'm going to say the Charter Oak.
Good cigar.
Good cigar.
Great cigar.
That was the first foundation I had, and it blew my mind. I was like, this is phenomenal.
I had the exact same experience as my first foundation, and it blew my mind.
Yeah. It would have to be, if it wouldn't happen because it was fairly rare, but the Romeo and Juliet 1989 short perfecto. If I could get that.
That one I gave you.
Yeah. If I could get that on a desert island, but like hundreds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. But again, I've spoken about that with you, and that when I was smoking it, it was just that nostalgia. I still, to this day, I told you I would never find out, but to this day, I don't know what it is that it smelt like something from my childhood. I don't know. So I'd have to smoke 1,000 of them to be able to remember what it was. And the third one, okay. Trying to think of what I've been smoking.
I can almost hear the cogs turning.
Yeah, the third one's the worst one as well because it's my last choice.
You smoke some really variety, especially just being out on your honeymoon.
I have been smoking a lot of, and that's the thing, because I've smoked such a variety. I'm like, what was it? I'd have to go, not because it's like a fantastic cigar. Well, it is a fantastic cigar, but it's not because it's of what it is, but it's for what it represents. When I first started getting into my content creation side of cigars, God, which one was it? It was a H. Upmann. I can't remember.
Good cigar.
Can't remember which one it was.
Magnum 54, 56.
No, it was a fairly small ring gauge. It was only about 38 by.
The half Coronas?
Yeah, it was a half Corona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
For that cigar, that was the first one I was like, I want to get into content creation. I want to get into this. I'm going to order some cigars. And I tried that. And so I'd always told myself, I'm not getting into cigars until I'm out of debt. Paid off all my debts. And I was like, I'm going to order a cigar that day. And that was the cigar I ordered. And for that, again, nostalgia for me, it has to be on the list.
Yeah, it's a great cigar as well. I think I've got 2 left in the humidor at the moment. I'm so reluctant to smoke them until I get more because they're that good.
Yeah,
they are great cigars. I managed to get a good deal on them from someone who went abroad, bought a box of 10, hated them. So he sold me 9 for about 40 quid.
Did you get the box as well?
I did.
Oh.
It's under here, I think. And I just flew through them. And then I've only got 2 left, so I'm so reluctant. But yeah, that's a good selection.
Yeah, it's got a bit of variety.
That's a good selection.
Although I say I like smoking a lot more New Worlds now. It's weird that there was 2 Cubans on there.
Yeah. And it's good that there was one on there that means so much to you because of the moment and the time which you smoked it. Like, I think that's again another thing, a great thing about cigars is you always remember the moment you smoked a really important one.
Yeah, and that's one of my issues. I say for podcasts and for everything is my retention. So, although I might not remember the exact name of it, but I always remember vividly the situation I was in and why I was smoking it.
Yes,
that is so important for me.
Yeah, and I have a few cigars in there that I will not touch, but if the right moment came up of smoking it with a certain person, that's when I have it. That's what I have it. You know, like I've just come back from London with Hiram and Solomon, and I had 2 in there, and I was like, I'm not touching these. I'm really not touching these. Like, you know what? If I am gonna smoke them, it's gonna be with the owner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Luckily, he gave me 3 cigars and I had to end up smoking them, and they're back in there. Especially when I find out how rare they are. So yeah, I think there's certain times, there's certain moments where, like, what other product on the market can you say can do that?
Yeah. It's one of those, like, if I got a foundation cigar that was really rare, I would put that, like, I'm terrible at saving things. That's why I was in debt. But no, if I had a cigar in there, like a rare foundation, I would have to save it for the day I met Nick.
Yes. What a guy. Amazing. Amazing. But he'd be really good to get on the channel, because once you get him talking, he's almost like Paul. You have to cut him off. I was at the Olmec launch in London, and George stood up and was like, "Right, sorry guys, we've only got the room for an hour and a half. You've all got to go." 20 minutes later, I'm still stood there talking to Nick, and George is coming over going, "Guys, get out."
Yeah.
Nick is an absolutely great guy, and his knowledge on his products is crazy.
Yeah, Paul Green, from obviously your boss, sung his praises. And again, the way I kind of heard about Foundation, I didn't even realize, like, connect the dots until I'd smoked the charter open, sort of researched a bit about it. But the cigar that Nick made for the JRE, that's kind of where I first heard Foundation, and then I smoked the charter open, like, this is a Foundation cigar.
Yeah,
Makes sense. That's why it's a really good cigar.
That's what. Yeah, the guy's knowledge. It's the thing I love about Foundation cigars is that he doesn't just make a cigar and go, "That's what I'm going to call it."
Yeah.
Every single cigar has a story.
That's what I really liked about your conversation with George, and he was saying about, like, you know, the tabernacle and things like that. And
that's a really in-depth one.
yeah, it was, you know, obviously you kind of look at the band, you're like, that's a really cool image, you know, and then you think that's a cool name. And yeah, you, like, if you were just to think, oh, I'm going to make this cigar, I'm going to call it as a tabernacle, and I'm just going to put an image of the dude on it. Okay, cool. But when you hear the story, you're like, that makes so much sense. Like, that's a really cool concept of how they name their cigars and how they sort of create the band, and it's just that story around it that, again, for the general, it might not mean anything, but the enthusiasts in the cigar world are just like, yes, 100%, I'm in.
Absolutely. I think that's what made me fall in love so much with the Highclere Castle. The fact he went through the cigar record books from, like, the 19th century or the 20th century, I can't remember where, and he tried to replicate it. There's that much detail in his sticks, and unfortunately, I've only got one Olmec, or I'd give you one.
It's all right. I will get my hand on one.
We'll get you one. We'll get George. Contact him.
George, again, is another one I would love to have on my podcast, because just hearing him talk again it's that enthusiasm, and it's
so much passion.
That knowledge is just, it's second to none.
So much passion. The great thing about George is he has so much passion for so many things. It's not just cigars. Like, he'll talk to you for hours about cigars, but another thing he's massively into, and I'd never done it until I went to London, is tea. Freshly pressed, proper tea. The only tea until then I've ever drank is
Yorkshire tea.
What you would call is English breakfast. It's just tea.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, we're pairing the cigar with tea." That's really bizarre. And he just went into so much detail about, I can't remember what it was, but it was stunning, and it paired with the cigar so much. So that's the great thing about Jordan, and probably why you'd get on with him so much, because, like, you got the Enthusiast podcast, and you want to speak to anybody who's enthusiastic about anything.
Yeah.
That got even, like, history. He almost dressed as like he's a World War II military man. He's passionate about that. He's passionate about tea. He's passionate about his products, his history.
The thing that I found mind blowing is his music.
Like,
you wouldn't think it.
He's a fucking musician, and his music's really good. If you can find his old Instagram, his music is brilliant. And that's another thing me and him were talking about, because we're both musicians, 2 completely different, like, genres. You couldn't get further apart in genres, but it's that shared passion.
Yeah.
And was just talking for hours.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, especially with anything like that, you might not have the exact same taste or whatever it is, but it's the respect of their knowledge or respect of their passion that you could just be like, I don't like this type of music or I don't like these cigars, but I completely get like why you do.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think, like you've just said, I think that's the one thing you always see in cigars. You'll always find people like, I only smoke Cubans. That's it. But they'll still respect us for smoking New World, and
It's
we
not like,
respect
if you
them for
smoke a
smoking.
New World, I'm not talking to you.
Yeah, there are. I've met a few.
I'm very fortunate. I've
Very,
not met
very far and few between. You know, I've been kicked out of cigar groups on Facebook because I didn't smoke Cubans and stuff like that. There is some very, very, very far and few in between. But yeah, 9 times out of 10, it's the fact that you've just got that shared passion.
Yeah, 100%.
For that one thing.
And I will give it all the praise it deserves. Very good choice on
There we go.
Very good choice.
See, this is why they employ me.
The man deserves a raise.
Claire, you've heard it here. I'll tell you what, we round it up there. Thank you for coming on the
Thank you
channel,
for
mate.
having
It's
me.
been absolute bliss, and it's not going to be the last time.
Better not be.
Well, it's easy to get you in.
Yeah, I was going to say.
10 minutes round the corner.
Pop over after
This is
work,
not going to be the
happy
last
days.
time you see Steve, and Steve likes free cigars, so he's definitely going to be here again. No, thank you, mate. It means the world to me to have like a really close friend come on the channel, and we both have this one passion. So thank you.
Thank you very much, James.
No
Thank you, Smoke Kings, and thank you everyone for watching.
There we go. So of course, guys, it goes without saying, hit that subscribe button and enable your notifications. We post 2 full-length content every single week, 7 o'clock on a Tuesday, 7 o'clock on a Friday, and we post over on our shorts every single day. So hit the subscribe button and enable your notifications, because you're going to expand your tobacco knowledge tenfold literally by doing it. I think you're going to appreciate the product a little bit more when you know the history, the time, effort, and love that goes into it. And of course, go follow us on social media. I'll leave the links in the description below. We post every single day, from competitions, giveaways, promos, events, cigars, pipes, tobaccos, snuffs, you name it, we've got it. And again, you can expand your tobacco knowledge tenfold by following us over there. So I've been James.
I've been Steve.
Welcome to the new era of smoking, and we'll both catch you in future videos. See you in the next one.